Good morning, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Jay with Great Scott Audio Productions and Bitten by Books, Book Bites. We're going to do a holiday special thing. We're going to read a little bit from the first short story in Holidays Are Hell. The first one is, and catching me unawares, Two Ghosts for Sister Rachel by Kim Harrison. I'm coming into this blind. I love Kim Harrison. She's a doll, writes wonderfully. Excuse me. And I have not read this, honestly. I picked this book up because I wanted to do a Christmas thing. I thought I had purchased it years ago, and I didn't. But it was one I knew about, and I thought, let's try something Christmassy. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to read a little bit of this, and then we'll kind of go over what we're going to do the next time, and hopefully I'll be able to come up with something for the following time. I'm a little fuzzy at the moment. Been busy. So here we go. Two Ghosts for Sister Rachel by Kim Harrison. Chapter 1. I stuck the end of the pencil between my teeth, brushing the eraser specks off the paper as I considered how best to answer the employment application. What skills can you bring to Interland Security that are clearly unique to you? Sparkling wit, I thought, twining my foot around the kitchen chair and feeling stupid. A smile? The desire to smear the pavement with bad guys? Sighing, I tucked my hair behind my ear and slumped into the kitchen chair. My eyes shifted to the clock above the sink as it ticked the minutes into hours. I wasn't going to waste my life. 18 was too young to be accepted into the IS intern program without a parent's signature. But if I put my application in now, it would sit at the top of the stack until I was old enough, according to the guidance counselor. Like the recruiter had said, there was nothing wrong with going into IS right out of college if you knew that's what you wanted to do. The fast track. The faint sound of the front door opening brought my heart into my throat. I glanced at the sunset-gloomed window. Jamming the application and the stacked napkins, I shouted, "Hi, Mom! I thought you weren't going to be back until 8. Damn it! How was I supposed to finish this thing if she kept coming back?" But my alarm shifted to elation when a high falsetto voice responded, "It's 8 in Buenos Aires, dear. Be a dove and find my rubbish for me. It's snowing." "Robbie?" I stood so fast that the chair nearly fell over. Heart pounding, I darted out of the kitchen and into the green hallway. There, at the end, in a windbreaker and shaking snow from himself, was my brother Robbie. His narrow height came close to brushing the top of the door, and his shock of red hair caught the glow from the porch light. Slush-wet dockers showed from under his jeans, totally inappropriate for the weather. On the porch behind him, a cabbie set down 2 suitcases. "Hey!" I exclaimed, bringing his head up to show his green eyes glinting mischievously. "You were supposed to be on the vamp flight. Why didn't you call? I would have come got you." Robbie shoved a wad of money at the driver. Door still gaping behind him, he opened his arms, and I landed against him, my face hitting his upper chest instead of his middle like it had been when he said goodbye. His arms went around me, and I breathed in the scent of old brimstone from the dives he worked in. The tears pricked, and I held my breath so I wouldn't cry. It had been over 4.5 years. Inconsiderate snot had been at the West Coast all this time, leaving me to cope with Mom. But he'd come home this year, for solstice, and I sniffed back everything and smiled up at him. "Hey, Firefly," he said, using our dad's pet name for me and grinning as he measured where my hair had grown to. "You got tall. And wow, hair down to your waist? What are you doing? Going for the world's record?" He looked content and happy. I dropped back a step, suddenly uncomfortable. "Yeah, well, it's been almost 5 years," I accused. Behind him, the cab drove away, headlamps dim from the snow and moving slowly. Robbie sighed. Don't start, he begged. I get enough of that from Mom. You gonna let me in? He glanced behind him at the snow. It's cold out here. Wimp, I said, and then grabbed one of the suitcases. Ever hear about that magical thing called a coat? He snorted his opinion, hefting the last of the luggage and following me in. The door shut, and I headed down the second, longer hallway to his room, eager to get him inside and part of our small family again. I'm glad you came, I said, feeling my pulse race from the suitcase's weight. I hadn't been in the hospital in years, but fatigue still came fast. Mom's gonna skin you when she gets back. Yeah, well, I wanted to talk to you alone first. Flipping the light switch with an elbow, I lugged his suitcase into his old room, relieved I'd vacuumed already. Blowing out my exhaustion, I turned with my arms crossed over my chest to hide my heavy breathing. About what? Robbie wasn't listening. He had taken off his jacket to show a sharp-looking pinstripe shirt and tie. Smiling, he spun in a slow circle. It looks exactly the same. I shrugged. You know Mom. His eyes landed on mine. How is she? I looked at the floor. The same. You want some coffee? With an easy motion, he swung the suitcase I had dragged up onto the bed. Don't tell me you drink coffee. Half my mouth curved up into a smile. Sweat of the gods, I quipped, coming close to when he unzipped a front pocket and pulled out a clearly expensive bag of coffee. If the bland, environmentally conscious packaging hadn't told me what was in it, the heavenly scent of ground beans would have. How did you get that through customs intact? I said and smiled. I checked it. His arm landed across my shoulders, and together we navigated the narrow hallway to the kitchen. Robbie was 8 years older than me, a sullen babysitter who had become an overly protective brother, who had then vanished for 4+ years ago, and when I needed him the most, fleeing the pain of our dad's death. I hated him for a long time, envious that he could run when I was left to deal with Mom. But when I found out he'd been paying for Mom's psychiatrist, plus some of my hospital bills, we all helped the way we could. And it wasn't like he could make that kind of money here in Cincinnati. Robbie slowed as we entered the kitchen, silent as he took in the changes. Gone was the cabinet with its hanging herbs, the rack of dog-eared spellbooks, the ceramic spoons, and the copper spell pots. It looked like a normal kitchen, which was abnormal for Mom. When did this happen? He asked, rocking into motion and heading for the coffee maker. It looked like a shrine with its creamer, sugar, special spoons, and 3 varieties of grounds in special little boxes. I sat at the table and scuffed my feet. Since Dad died, I thought, but I didn't say it. I didn't need to. We're going to go ahead and stop there. I appreciate it. I appreciate the year you guys have given Rachel and I, and Bitten by Books, and Great Scott Audio Productions. We're going to go ahead, and I think what I'm going to do is Nightlife by Rob Thurman next time. It's neat. I haven't really it's been a while since I've read it. I'm going to have to reread it again before we go. But I'm excited. Then the following week, as I asked the last time, if you guys want to throw out ideas and throw them into the comments section for something you might like to see me read, please do so. Otherwise, we're going to kind of go ahead and continue on through the menagerie back here. But other than that, Happy New Year, and take care of each other. Thanks.